Good evening, everyone. Yeah, does that sound like it's working all right?
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to call this special meeting to consider the state of the city to order, and we'll start with a Pledge of Allegiance. So if you could rise and join us. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I want to start by welcoming all of you to this year's review of the state of our city. We appreciate how many of you have come out, even though the weather is pretty inclement this afternoon. I'm assuming it's because you know there's going to be good food and you're here in a good mood, so that if I tell a bad joke, you'll still laugh, and at the end of this presentation, you're not going to start throwing your shoes at me. So, welcome to all of you, and thank you for being here. We're going to start by recognizing our elected officials that we were able to make note of as they came in the door. Excuse me. We have former Mayor Barleycorn. I know you're here. Okay. All right, Mayor Barleycorn, we're happy to see you, and we're going to tell you a little bit about a Citizens Academy that we've started in the city, and one of our members, one of the students, if you will, in the Citizens Academy is Mayor Barleycorn. And it's wonderful as the mayor when I get to go speak to the group, and I have somebody in the back of the room disagreeing with me. So it's very good. We also want to recognize Councilwoman Ann Donahue. Jones, former Councilman John Womack, who I understand just came in, and former Mayor Richard Vasiloff. If I missed anybody, I apologize. We also have Colonel Matthew Johnson from Luke Air Force Base, so thank you for coming. We have Christine Seidens from the Community Initiatives team at Luke. Thank you for coming. From the Goodyear Fire Department, we have Shift Battalion Aaron Chavez and Neil Robertson, looks like. And from the Avondale/Litchfield Park Police Department, we have Lieutenant Thomas Alt and Officer Justin Blodgett. Thank you. I understand Southwest Valley Chambers here. It says Jeff and Anna Polola, they're both here. I don't know if I didn't see them. Well, if you're here, welcome. If not, you'll miss a good presentation. And we also have representatives from the Paul W. Litchfield Heritage Center, Nancy Schaefer and Judy Cook. We also want to recognize and thank the caterer. Hopefully everybody enjoyed their appetizer tonight. This event was catered by Fresh Fitness Kitchen and Chef Rashawn Smith and staff. So thank you. Now we're going to start with a video that goes through some of the highlights of the city, and kind of we'll let everybody here who's a city resident see your city maybe from a different light. So.
Welcome to the 2025 City of Litchfield Park State of the City video. In just 10 minutes, we'll guide you through the rich history, thriving present, and promising future of our charming residential community in the heart of Maricopa County, Arizona. In 1916, Paul W. Litchfield, an executive with the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company, arrived in this area on a mission to acquire land for cotton farming to strengthen tires during World War I. Captivated by the region's beauty, he established the Southwest Cotton Company. By 1926, the company town was officially named Litchfield Park. After World War II, Litchfield Park experienced significant growth as many veterans chose to make it their home. In 1987, it officially became an incorporated city, marking a new chapter in its history. In 2024, Litchfield Park achieved another milestone, becoming Arizona's first charter city in decades. With 82% of voters approving the measure, this new status grants the city the authority to shape its own rules and regulations, marking a significant step forward in governance. The city thrives under the thoughtful leadership of Mayor Tom Schoaf and the committed members of the City Council. We extend our gratitude to outgoing council members Ann Donahue and John Romack for their service, and warmly welcome Suzanne Allen and Andrew Frazier to the council. Daily operations are officially overseen by City Manager Matthew Williams. With award-winning schools, public parks, and pools, Litchfield Park is a pedestrian-friendly city that fosters a strong sense of belonging and well-being for its residents. It's the crown jewel of the Southwest Valley, offering a rich history, vibrant community, and outstanding quality of life. Last year, the 26-acre Litchfield Square development saw tremendous progress. City Square Park came to life with newly installed grass, sidewalks, and landscaping. While a nearby building was constructed to house park infrastructure controls and restroom. An aviation-themed playground was opened, delighting families. Several roads within the development were completed, including the Village Parkway Extension, Desert Avenue, Honeysuckle Street, and La Loma Avenue. The redesigned pathway adjacent to the Airline Canal now connects seamlessly to the city's cart paths, enhancing walkability. Notably, the sidewalk along Desert Avenue was carefully designed to preserve a grand, mature tree, showcasing the city's commitment to blending development with natural beauty. The city's dedication to maintaining its charm was evident in every corner. Streets were swept, fire hydrants freshly painted, parking lots repaved, palm trees expertly trimmed, and oranges harvested from the city's iconic orange trees. Each year, holiday lights transform downtown into a Southwest winter wonderland. Litchfield Park remains committed to its partnership with the historic Wigwam Resort, ensuring its long-term vitality and sustainability. As a key landmark and community hub, the Wigwam continues to thrive through ongoing support and cooperation, preserving its legacy while enhancing its role in hospitality, recreation, and local events. Litchfield Park continues its strong partnerships with public safety providers. Policing is handled by the Avondale Police Department, whose marked patrols ensure a viable and reassuring presence. Fire services are expertly provided by the Goodyear Fire Department, responding swiftly in their signature yellow fire trucks. Together, these services uphold the city's commitment to safety. Litchfield Park thrives on its vibrant traditions and strong community spirit. Flag-raising ceremonies honor our military, while art festivals, street fairs, and concerts bring life to the city year-round. The Litchfield Park Little League All-Stars brought pride to the city, competing for a spot in the 2024 Little League World Series. Events like the annual fishing derby and volunteer projects, such as painting the trunks of the city's iconic orange trees, highlight the close-knit nature of our community. With a focus on sustainability, new trees are regularly planted, enhancing our urban forest and providing shade in the desert climate. The city also celebrates residents' pride with the Yard of the Quarter Award, showcasing the beauty and care within our neighborhoods. Looking ahead, Litchfield Park is embarking on transformative projects to enhance the community and its services. Plans are in motion for a modern public works campus to replace the aging facility. this upgraded space will support efficient city operations and ensure that essential services continue to meet the growing needs of residents. A new 10,000 square foot Litchfield Park branch library is set to be constructed near the historic La Loma Hilltop. This state-of-the-art facility will be built in the signature Litchfield Park architectural style. Additionally, the Agua Fria Union High School District has proposed a Fine Arts Academy and a 700-seat Performing Arts Theater near the historic La Loma Homestead, further enriching the community and celebrating its dedication to the arts. At Litchfield Square, parcels north of City Square Park have been sold, with construction anticipated to begin soon on the first commercial buildings. Proposals are being reviewed for projects on the northwest corner of the square and areas around City Hall, ensuring continued growth and innovation. As we wrap up the 2025 State of the City, it's clear that Litchfield Park remains a city rooted in history, thriving in the present and ambitiously planning for the future. With a vibrant community spirit and a dedication to progress, Litchfield Park continues to be an exceptional place to call home. Thank you for joining us. For updates and information, visit our website or contact city offices. We look forward to sharing more milestones in the years ahead.
So we want to thank and call out specifically Chuck Emmerich for putting together this video. He is responsible for most all of our things that are on our website and YouTube accounts, and every place where there's artistic videos, it's from Chuck, or artistic photographs. So we appreciate all he's done for us and the way he's able to help present who we are to the public. So thanks to Chuck. Now, I got my little pointer here. We can get started on the slides. Unfortunately, they have a really beautiful camera or TV screen in back that I should be able to look at and tell which slide you're on. But as you can see, it's blank. So I'm going to have to guess what we're looking at. All of these slides that we're going to go through tonight, the PowerPoint, is going to be available on our website. So I'm not going to go through and read the slides to you. I assume we can all read them if you want to read them, and you can see them on the website. I'm going to talk about some highlights about what the slides are about, and then afterwards we'll have an opportunity for the council to make comments and for you to ask questions. So as we go through here, you'll see a variety of things, and we're starting with City Council. Our council members are Andrew Frazier, Ron Claire, Justin James, Suzanne Allen, Lisa Brandon Watson, myself, and Vice Mayor Faith. Unfortunately, we were not able to have all of us here tonight. Ron Claire is homesick and thought he didn't want to bring his illness into everybody who came. Lisa Brainerd has got some issues going on in her family, and so she's out of town, I believe. She did, however, send a long email with her regrets for not being here. This is unusual for her to miss a meeting, and so we understand that she's got very good reason not to be here. And Andrew Fraser had a problem with scheduling. He's a brand new council member and probably didn't know that this event was even tonight necessarily until not that long ago. So all of them, we appreciate all our council. Our council serves the city in a very important role to help set the policy and how we move forward in the city. Council and the vice mayor and I serve with no compensation, so this is a volunteer position. We want to thank the council for everything that it does. I want to remind the citizens and that our council is guided, and all of our commissioners and our staff is guided by our responsibility to follow the mission of our city and to implement that mission, which I'm going to paraphrase. We are charged with being a responsible government that deals with and listens to our citizens. Our goal is to enhance the city of Litchfield Park while preserving the uniqueness of our community, and that in a really simple way of thinking about it is as we look at changes and as we look at development, we look at any kind of change that's going to happen within the city, we try to make sure that that change will not hurt the character of our neighborhoods. So with that, we'll go on to the recognition of our newly elected council, which Ron Claire was re-elected, and then we have Suzanne Allen and Andrew Fraser, who are just brand new council members. So we're happy to have them here. And we want to remember that we also, because we have 2 new council members, we also have retiring council members in the form of Ann Donahue and John Romack, who provided many years of service to our community, and we want to thank them for that. We also want to recognize that one of our council members has a special day in her life, as you can see, that gives you a tip-off of which council member it was. A special day in her life is because today is her birthday. In honor of that, we have a birthday cake that will be available after the meeting.
Really?
Really? I kept from telling you early because I thought we'd end up with a cake up here and you'd be eating it. Okay, our city has a couple of commissions that are really, really important. 3 commissions, I think, if my memory is correct, that are really important in trying to guide the city and make some of the day-to-day things happen that needs to happen if we're going to be a city. The first is Design Review Board of Adjustments. Susan Charnetsky is its chair. David Ledger, vice chair. Council members Lisa Watson, and then also Robert Derry and Rachel Dudley. So thank you for your service on this. I'm going to mention it now so that I don't forget later. The library that we're going to talk about was the initial drawings and designs for the outside of that library was done by Susan Charnetsky. So thank you for that. Recreation Public Grounds Commission. We have Christopher Gertz, Brian Culbreth, Adam Swartz, Brian Faith, Andy Phillips, Anthony Tadai, and Susan Fix. They are responsible for our parks, and they do a great job in keeping our parks up to date, and they did a fantastic job in helping us design the 26-acre park that's the centerpiece of Litchfield Square. So thank you to the Recreation and Public Grounds Commission. And finally, Planning and Zoning Commission, we have Mike Faith as the chair, David Ledger, vice chair, Deborah Lawrence, Robert Derry, Vicki Lynn Alvey, and Brian O'Connor as commissioners. Planning and zoning is the group that actually looks at what's going to get built on particular pieces of land. They have had a very large part in helping us plan out Litchfield Square. We appreciate all of their service. One of the things that you get from the names that I just gave you of the commissioners is a number of them are related to families that have been in Litchfield for a long time. And that's one of the things that's really special about our city. Litchfield Square. We've talked about this for a long, long time. The actual initial plans or the initial concept for a center to our city, a development of the city was done in 1994 when the council adopted the village center plan. I think that plan was so popular that it led to the recall of a number of members on the council. One of them might actually be here tonight. But that plan was a very important piece in the start of the vision for what we have in the square today. From 94 through 2017, we started the process of acquiring the property that was needed to build the square. So it took quite some time to be able to generate the funds and be able to negotiate with the landowner so we could actually buy all the property. 2018 through 2021, we spent literally 3 years meeting with citizen groups to try to find out what did people want to have in the square, what kinds of businesses, what kinds of activities, to make sure that it was going to fit in to our city. And in 2021 through 2025, so for about 4 years, we worked on building the infrastructure, which sounds like a long time, but you have to realize there was nothing on that dirt. There was a lot of old utility lines that actually were serving the wigwam mostly that no one even knew existed. So it took us quite a while to figure out where these utility lines even went to. We had to build in streets, we had to put in sewer, we had to put in a centralized retention system. We had to get rid of a floodplain that we had in one area, so the floodplain was that designation. We were able to get that reclassified because of building a flood control project, which had been delayed for probably a decade. So we finished the flood control project. So we had a tremendous number of things that had to be accomplished to get to the point where now we have infrastructure and we have a place for people to come in and develop. The centerpiece of this development is the park. Most developments have some sort of an anchor. The anchor's there to try to generate traffic and kind of put a hook in people to get them to stop and be in the development. For us, our anchor is the park. We did that because we didn't want a Fry's Supercenter in the middle of the park. It doesn't fit a Walmart or some other sort of big store. It's a big retailer. That doesn't fit the character of what we're trying to build. So the park is our anchor. It's 2.5 acres. It has a playground. It has an area where we can conduct concerts. We've got wiring and things in place so that we can have microphones and sound equipment so we can put on concerts in the park. It's got a palm plaza. We have actually started holding events there. We had the very first event that I think we held was a chili cook-off for the employees, and the chili cook-off was always fun, but we used to do it in the parking lot behind City Hall. Having it over in the park made it a truly special and unique experience. We also had our first festival using the park, and from what I understand, it came out well. I've had a lot of comments from citizens who attended the festival who liked the park and thought the park was a great venue. I'm hoping that the vendors will end up having the same kind of experience and that it will help us as we attract new vendors in the future. So cost, how did all this stuff just happen? It just appeared. Well, $40 million is what made it appear. When we started this project in 2020, we estimated and had some construction contracts even that set the cost at about $26 million. And we had a financial plan that allowed us to build it for $26 million and to pay for it. Unfortunately, things like COVID hit, and then when COVID hit, various problems in the supply chains hit, prices went crazy, and anyone who's tried to build anything during that period of time, experienced 40% or more price increases on everything. And some things, even though they were 40% more expensive, we couldn't get them for a long time. So we had certain cast cement pieces that we needed in building the infrastructure that you could not buy one. You put an order in and you would take delivery whenever they were able to get around to getting it to you. So the whole process of planning and building this infrastructure was very difficult from the cost of components and very difficult from the ability to schedule the work in a way that was efficient and cost effective. So it ended up at the end of the day, it cost us $40 million. We had originally looked at financing up to $26 million, and so we had to come up with, through our own cash, through city cash, the difference. And we spent a lot of time as a council trying to determine what was the best financial path for the city, so that we didn't end up using up so much cash that we would not be able to deal with downturns that we knew were going to come at some point. But at the same time, we didn't want to borrow so much money that we were wasting money on interest and having that be a drag on the city's finances, years into the future. So after some financial modeling, we want to thank the city manager and our finance manager, Paige Peterson. We were able to find a path that kind of split the difference. So we still ended up with, at the end of the day, 2 different bonds that total about $26 million. And we used $14 million of city cash to pay for the balance of the balance of the cost. We're going to go through finances in a little bit, and I think you're going to see that we still have a very, very strong financial position. We're able, if Litchfield Square doesn't build, if we don't build anything in Litchfield Square, the city will still be fine financially. It will not reduce the city's ability to meet the needs of the residents. We'll still have a capital program. We'll still maintain our streets. We'll still have our fire and our police. So everything that's important to your normal lifestyle is not going to be impacted. And we'll get to that in more detail. But we've got, of the $40 million, $26 million has been financed and $14 million was paid in cash. This is just is a picture showing the new streets and some of the new things that are out there. If you haven't been through the development, I'd encourage you to go. It is very clear once you get in there. You can see how the lots are laid out, where the buildings are going to be. You can see how the park is laid out and why the park is actually getting a lot of use now, even though there's nothing there. We have families going in and using the playground. We have people having lunch there. We have guys on bikes, people on bikes will light in and stop and rest there. So it's already becoming a place to gather, even though there are no amenities around it. First building that is scheduled to be built. In fact, the building has, all of its plans have been approved. So far as I know, all the financing has been approved. It is Heritage Partners. We're hoping we'll start sometime around the 1st of May in terms of actual building. If you look out there, you can see the construction fence and the construction trailers on the property. It's going to be about 40,000 square feet. It will have 2 restaurants, and it will have office and retail space in addition to the restaurants. The plans have been approved, all the building plans have been approved, and I think it's ready for permits to be issued. So it should start here very shortly. The second building that we are very much anxiously hoping is going to finish is with a local family named the Rodolfo family. They're going to build on the parcels 1 and 2, the initial parcel. When you drive it's the northern parcel, and you drive in on the Parkway from the traffic circle. It's 30,000 square feet. It's going to be a mixed-use commercial building, and it'll have 3 stories. We're looking forward to the Rodolfo family starting that. I think the initial conversations we've had is that we hope to get that started maybe by October. The next building that we're moving forward on, or at least is in the process of moving forward, is a third building. It is also about 40,000 square feet total, correct? Yeah. It has 3 stories. The first story will be retail, so it'll be offices and restaurants on the first floor, and then there'll be 2 stories of condos. So that project is in the process of going through design review at this point, and once we get to the point of having a design for the building that fits in with what we want to see within all the buildings in the park, in the square, then that building will go to the next step, which is the negotiation of a development agreement and the preparation of plans. So if everything moves along at the pace that seems to be setting so far, we should see something happening on that lot by the end of the year. So that will give us about 110,000 square feet of buildings under construction during this calendar year, which is a really good start. It's about half of what will end up eventually there, and once that gets going, I think we're anticipating significant interest in the other parcels for the finishing kind of pieces of the puzzle. Next item, the next big item for us, we've got so many big things going on now, we have to divide them into big projects. So the big, Litchfield Square project has been a big project, and it's not on autopilot, but it's now moving along, and we don't have to deal with it every day. except as we try to deal with particular parcels. The next big project we're working on is the restoration of the Lowoma Hilltop. We are working with partners, Maricopa County, Alva Freya School District, and the Historic Society, which is now the P.W. Litchfield Heritage. Is there a Heritage Center, but is there a Historic Society or no? So they're called the Heritage Center. So those three groups are partners in developing and restoring really Lowoma Hilltop. I've been here since 1980, and I remember this hilltop in a condition that is much better than it is today, but still nothing like what it was when Paul Litchfield was here. But when I was here, there was the Denny family living in the hilltop, and they had peacocks, and the peacocks would actually fly around. And I didn't. When I moved here, I didn't even know peacocks flew, to be honest with you. The way I found out is that I got up in the morning one morning, and I look in my backyard, and right by the pool is 2 peacocks. So I'd never even seen a peacock that close. So I got a hold of the Denny, Edith, and I said, I think I might have your peacocks. And she said, really? I said, yeah. They apparently flew down here. She said, well, that's nice. I said, well, do you want me to figure out a way to get them back to you? She said, no, they know where they're at. They'll fly back when they're ready. So the peacocks stayed with us for a couple days. But the point of the story is that it was tremendously different. The hilltop, even though it was not like it was when Paul Litchfield enjoyed it, it was much better than it is today. Today, we have a lot of work to do to get the hilltop back to something that we can all be proud of. We're going to try to do that in the spirit of what Paul Litchfield used the hilltop for when he owned it. It was an event center for Paul Litchfield. He brought people in from around the world, and they stayed in that house. And it was like a guest house for him. His main house was down on Fairway. But he brought people in, and they stayed there. He had terraces that he would have high tea on. He would invite his friends from across the valley to come there for parties. They would have sunrise services, Easter services and other services, church services on the terraces. They had a bandstand where they brought the Phoenix Philharmonic Orchestra would come to the bandstand and play concerts for the Southwest Valley. So he used it as a place that was a cultural place. It was entertainment. It was arts. We want to try to do the same thing. So the way the puzzle is coming together, and we're fortunate. It's been a project that's been worked on for years, but the way it came together is we have the Heritage Center, who's going to move their museum into the house, and eventually add a second phase where they're going to build another museum next to it, so they'll have more space. But at least at this point, they're going to have, I think it's about 4,000 square feet, which is tremendously more than what they have now. Excuse me. And they'll have a number of galleries. They'll have some permanent exhibits. Their offices will be there. They'll have enough space to have an archive for all of the important papers and documents that they've got. So we have the centerpiece of this restoration is this museum, and then located to the east of that, on the bottom of the hill, there's a new library. So the 10,000 square feet. We have been fortunate to receive $5 million from the county. We want to thank Supervisor Clint Hickman for his leadership in being able to obtain those funds for us. That $5 million will come close to building a nice brand new library for us. And so that's another piece of that puzzle. And then Alva Freya wants to build and has committed to build a Arts Academy and Performing Arts Center on the other third of this project. So the Arts Academy is not going to be like a normal high school. So there are no football teams, there's no sports fields, there's not even a gymnasium. All there are is places for kids, I guess not kids, they're young adults, to learn about various things about fine arts, whether it's acting in a play or a movie, or it's being the person who films the movie, or it's orchestra. It's everything to do with arts. And their vision is that this art center will attract students not only from across the valley, but they'll attract students from across the nation. That's what they want to build. That's their goal. Along with that, they're going to build a 700-seat, world-class, state-of-the-art performing arts center. It is going to have features in it like a performing arts recording studio that they have already been told they can use time in that recording studio as a hook to get some very, very good acts to come in and perform in this theater. So we are looking forward, if everything comes together and it works the way that it's planned, that this theater will bring things to the Southwest Valley, bring things to Litchfield Park that we can't see anywhere else in the valley. Or at least if we do see it, we'll be entirely in the east side in Scottsdale or Mesa or Chandler. Excuse me. It is going to be a changer. It'll be a game changer in the way that people look at the Southwest Valley and the kinds of attractions, I guess you'd say, that we will have here for our residents. So it's a very exciting project. It involves a lot of moving pieces, but as it comes together, this is a concept. This is the drawing of what the concept is and what we're working towards now. We actually have leased the property to Agua-Fria. So Agua-Fria has made the commitments to come in, and they are the part of the project. So this is the Agua-Fria part right here. This is the academy, and this is offices and academy, and this is the performing arts center. Excuse me. They are committed to having this academy open for students in August of 26. So you'll see earth-moving equipment literally starting to move dirt in this for this development within the next several months. Very aggressive plan. They want to have this performing arts center. The original concept was to try to have it also ready to open in August of 26. It's still, I think, a goal. And I think they're coming to realize that they've got a lot to do in a fairly short period of time. It may be a few months later when that performing arts center actually gets finished. As part of that, we have committed to building the library, which is here. We're committed to having the library finished in August of 26. We have spent time with staff, many hours of time with staff, talking about how aggressive that schedule is. It's a lot to get done to have that library ready to be opened in August of 26. We are literally going to be meeting at least 4 or 5 times a month, going over exactly all of the things that have to happen for the library to be open in August of 26. But that is our goal. And all of this is subject to council approval. So right now what we have as a concept, the council has approved the lease of the land to Agua-Fria. Council hopefully will approve the lease of the land to the Heritage Center, later this month. The council it actually has approved the plan for the contract for the design work done on the library. So we're moving these things forward in pieces, but everything that I'm going to tell you tonight is subject to council approval in the future. So this is kind of a rendering of what we expect the library to look like. It's 40% larger than what we have now. It will have state-of-the-art electronic services in there for the patrons. It will be a safe library. One of the problems we have with our current library is that the librarians don't have what are called sight lines. So if they're looking to see if all the kids are okay in that building, they can't see all the kids. So they don't know if they're all okay. That's a big problem for a librarian. So this is going to have sight lines so we can make sure everyone's safe. Again, Follow 26 is the plan. This is the rendition of what the Arts Center and the Performing Arts studio will look like. This talks a little bit about the number of students, 400 students approximately. Again, no sports teams, no sports activities. The activities that are like football for these kids are performing in the theater, learning how to use a TV camera, learning how to do the computerized processes that give us what we watch on TV. These are the project schedule. Everything is, we're all working towards the idea of trying to have this thing open in the fall of '26. This is what the hilltop looks like today. And that's what we have to create. We're doing it in two phases. The first phase is to restore the desertscape. We're going to be building, get the right button here. All right. We're going to be building a new lawn area here. So there's a lot of excavation that ends up out of here to get these buildings to the right height. We're going to take that dirt and put it here and build a new lawn area that will serve this park, basically. This whole 20 acres is going to be a public park. So there'll be an area where people can use that lawn area, and also will be available for the Heritage Center, who will be here. They will be able to use the lawn area for events for the museum. So these are the main things that get done in the first phase. Then in the second phase, which will be a CIP project as we go forward, we're going to restore the bandstand. We're going to build in restrooms up at the bandstand so we can have events at the bandstand. And we're going to do something to restore the terraces. So again, with the idea that this is an area that will be able to support events in the future. We'll see, we already have some groups that go up and use it now, even though it's in a very poor condition, for events every year. And we expect that once we get it restored, that we'll have a great demand for people who want to go up and conduct things and have events up on this hilltop. So this whole project, this parking lot, I don't like asphalt very much, so this parking lot probably isn't going to be like this. It's probably going to stop about right here. And then the parking lot in here is going to be some sort of crushed granite or something that looks more natural. So there's a lot of things that are going to change about this. A lot of features are going to change a little bit. But it gives you an idea of what we're trying to accomplish. This is a picture of the first phase of the Heritage Center. I have to skip forward in my book or I'll get lost. We covered a lot of stuff here. So this is a rendition of the first phase of the Heritage Center. The plan for the addition will be in here. So this first phase, the Heritage Center Historical Society has raised private money to be ready to do all of this. So they're in the process of getting the plans finished for it and sending it out so they can get some bids. Their intention is that they will be having a product that's finished again sometime in the fall of 2026. So Litchfield Road will not support the addition of this Arts Academy and Performing Arts Center and the library. It won't support the traffic that's going to generate. We already have issues on Missouri when we try to get people out of Missouri Avenue onto Litchfield Road. It's because of the way the hill's scheduled or it's configured. It's hard to see traffic, and it's a pretty dangerous intersection already. Excuse me. Right across the street from this complex is the new subdivisions that were just recently built north of Fry's. And the road going into their gate, it's a gated community. The road going in is called Britain. And getting out of Britain is a real problem. And for the residents who live there already, it's a problem. So when we add in the fact that you're going to have now 400 kids coming up there to go to class 5 days a week, fortunately, there's not going to be a lot of buses. They only think there's going to be 4 or 5 buses a day. But you're going to have kids coming in with cars and parking in parking lots. So the traffic obviously is a problem. So we have to work on Litchfield Road. We have planned for Litchfield Road a roundabout. Some of you may love roundabouts, and some of you may hate roundabouts. I would only ask you to work with us on these roundabouts. The roundabout that we have has actually worked out very well. Traffic flows through that roundabout very smoothly. It didn't always flow smoothly, but people have gotten used to how they have to go to a roundabout, they have to yield and let other people have some idea of right of way. You can't just run through and act like they're the only car on the road. But it is working well. It's going to be another challenge as we develop Litchfield Square and we start having people going into and out of Litchfield Square. Again, people are going to have to be courteous in the sense that there are right-of-ways, there are yield signs, and they have to be followed. But given all that, we have had very few accidents, even though it's a significant change in traffic control to have a roundabout out, in Arizona. People don't know what roundabouts are, and so it's been a learning curve for a lot of people. But we have actually had very few accidents. We've not had any fatalities from any of the accidents. So that's one of the benefits of a roundabout is that you don't have fatal accidents like you have when somebody runs a red light. And for the most part, I don't know if it's 90%, it might be even higher. For the most part, the accidents have all involved someone who's under the influence of alcohol or drugs. So it's in some sense it's kind of a filter. If you're intoxicated, you better find a different way to go. Because you get to that roundabout, you may be filtered out of the traffic, and you're not going to hurt somebody else. So, we expect the roundabout's going to cost the city about $2 million, and we are going to do everything we can to put an underpass at the same time, right underneath Litchfield Road, so that we can safely get kids across the street, so that they'll be able to go from the neighborhoods that are on the east side of Litchfield, they'll be able to get to the west side of Litchfield using an underpass. Again, this has to go through council, CIP process. We've got various steps that have to go through, but I believe we have enough support on council that we'll end up approving an underpass in that area. Some other capital projects that we either have done or are working on. We're going to go through quickly the capital projects that we completed this year. But before we do that, I want you to understand some of the limitations we're under. When we get to the financial section, you're going to see that we have a significant amount of cash in the bank. So we have funds to do more capital projects than what we have done in the last year. The problem is that we have state-imposed spending limitations. The rules on these spending limitations are very complex and a little bit crazy, to be honest. So if we build something, if we borrow money on a bond and we build that item with a bond, it doesn't count against the expenditure limit. It's like we didn't even spend the money. But if we build something with our cash on hand, that counts against our expenditure limit. So because we are finishing Litchfield Square this year, and we're finishing it for the most part with city money, all those funds count against our expenditure limit, which limited us in the ability to do other major capital projects. So all of that work will be completed by April of 25. So as we start 26, we have our full spending authority to use on capital projects, some of which we have delayed because of this. We've done planning for them, but we haven't started them. So the first one we're going to talk about is Camelback West. And again, everything we talk about on capital projects now these are things that we're going to plan on, that we're going to work on over 26, 27, 28, our fiscal years, starting in July of 25 for the next 3 years. None of these have been approved by council. So until it's approved by council and we actually have let a contract, I'm giving you speculation. It's my speculation of what I think is going to happen. It's what staff is recommending to us. But it's all got to go through a process of review by the council. Some of it has to go through a process of working with adjacent landowners. So all of these things are plans, but you may see some changes to them. So the first section, or the first major area that we're working on for the next 3 years is Camelback Road. Camelback Road to the west is the first part of that. We have a lot of problems on Camelback Road to the west. It's an old road. It's only 2 lanes. It has a hill on it. We have people speeding. We have heavy-duty trucks using Jake brakes. We've got everything that could possibly be bad about a road is true about Camelback West. We're going to try to change the character of that road as we rebuild it. So instead of 2 lanes, it's going to become 4 lanes. There'll be either a middle median or in some cases a middle turning lane. But it's basically 2 lanes going in each direction. We're going to do various things to try to do what's called traffic calming. So we're going to try to slow the traffic down. Some of it's natural. We're going to put in a roundabout. That's going to slow stuff down. We're going to put in at least 1, maybe 2 stoplights. Slow everybody down. And then we're going to also make a change. If our council adopts the budget that's going to be proposed here in the next several weeks, we are budgeting to add a full-time traffic patrol officer. So that's a full-time person who's not patrolling the neighborhoods for crime, but he's patrolling the areas where we have problems with speeding. We will be able to schedule this beat, if you will, or this officer. We can schedule it for different times of the day if we want. We can go on Camelback Road and we can write enough tickets to slow people down. Get it down to where we don't have so much speeding. Do the same thing on Villanueva. Same thing on Litchfield Road. So some of the places where we know we have problems, we are going to attack that problem and slow it down a little bit. That's going to have a big impact, we think, on Camelback. So we got these changes to Camelback West. We're going to do changes to Camelback East so that once you get on Camelback and you're going really all the way to 127th Avenue, you're going to start seeing Camelback look like a street in Litchfield Park, not a street in the county. So it's going to be a number of changes that will happen to Camelback over the next 3 years. We have already started the design work on it. We are working with portions of the property are impacted by Sun Health development. It's happening in their property in the Loma Hilltop area. So we're working with Sun Health to get the designs coordinated between what's happening on the north side of the street and what's going to happen on the south side of the street. We're estimating that the cost, make sure I get the right phase. The west phase is estimated at a cost of $4 million, and the east phase is estimated at a cost of $3.5 million. So we're going to be spending $7.5 million roughly on improving Camelback to make it a more beautiful road, to calm the traffic, and to make it hopefully better on the neighborhoods that live on either side of the road. Litchfield Road. We've already talked a little bit about Litchfield Road. Litchfield Road from Missouri down to Camelback is going to be worked on over the next 3 years also. So we've talked about the roundabout and the underpass at Britton. There's going to be a traffic light at Missouri. This is the Missouri traffic light. And so from Missouri coming south, Litchfield Road's going to get changed so that, again, it looks more like Litchfield Road inside the city already. So there'll be medians, there'll be pathways, you got the underpass, the roundabout. There probably will be a stop light where Panda Express goes in off of Litchfield now. There's a road on the other side that's part of the Loma development. That road's in the wrong spot, so it's got to be lined up with the road that's at Panda Express, and there'll be a stoplight there. So everything, the way that traffic flows on Litchfield Road is going to change again over the next 3 years. Some other things that are going to happen in internally in the park. We've had a problem with parking at Camelback Park. I don't know how many people here drive by Camelback Park, but when there's soccer games or people using the park a lot, people park, they parallel park along the curb, and if you parallel park on both sides of the road, there isn't enough room for two cars to even go by. So you get people driving in the middle of the road, you got kids running in and out. It's a very dangerous place. We've been very fortunate not to have any accidents that really seriously hurt anyone yet, but it's coming. So we're concerned about it. We've had various citizens come to us and say, that we need to do something. So we've got a design done for a parking area that's going to come in on an angle, so that all of the parking will now angle in for an angled parking along there. So it'll make it easier for people to park. The kids won't have to run across the street because there won't be any parking on this side, and it will make it a lot safer situation. I get to hitting the wrong buttons here. So it makes it a lot safer. The only negative from it is it will take up some small amount of space from the park, which is not a good thing. So we also have a situation where it's time to replace the wall in that area. If you look at the yellow line is the current wall. The red line is actually where we can build a wall. So we have designed a wall now to go where the red line is. That will add space back into the park. So the park will actually, even though we put in this parking lot that uses angle parking, so we use up a little bit of land, we're going to generate a lot more land with this wall. So the park will actually get bigger. It'll be more usable. There's a picture here of a view fence. There's going to be, the wall is going to be a very tall wall. Is it 9 feet, 10 feet tall? 9 or 10 feet tall. So there's a little concern that a wall, if it's a solid wall, it's that tall, for that length, you can see how long it's a lot of wall, that it will really feel enclosed for the people who are in the park. So we're adding what's a view feature, but it's only small. It's going to be like 6 feet wide, less 4 feet wide, a little more. So it's more than 4, but less than 10. Anyway, so there'll be sections that are kind of in the top half of the wall. So maybe it starts at 5 feet off the ground. There'll be a section 4 or 5 feet wide that will be viewed. So that what'll happen is we hope it will make being in the park still feel expansive. So we'll see. If it doesn't work, then we'll fill in that area with block later. But it seemed to be a good idea, and it was a concept that was favored by the residents that we met with that had a vote in what this wall was going to look like. I think most of the residents. I'm looking at Mayor Bartlett because I don't think you voted for it, but you're happy with the wall.
Yes.
Okay. Next project that's going to get done next year, or at least hopefully get started next year, is a new public works building. Right now we're using a building that was used by Rural Metro. It's a temporary building that's on a slab and it's falling down. I don't even know that we can use that anymore. I think it's probably condemned. We have some trailers back back behind that are in very poor condition. So we have to do something. The Public Works Department, unfortunately, it's not as sexy to residents as the police or the fire. Right? I mean, it's like Public Works. What the heck? But actually, it's the most important thing for us in our lifestyle, because the Public Works, if we don't have good Public Works employees that care about their job, what do you think your park's going to look like? What's your street going to look like? What's the median going to look like? So we have to treat our employees the same way we want our employees to treat you, and to treat your neighborhoods. And right now we're not doing that. So one of the ways to fix that, or at least to improve on the working conditions for our public works people, is to get an adequate place for them to have offices and have meetings and have a lunchroom, and also a place where they can work on their equipment. So this building is designed to do that. It's been in the planning for several years, because the initial cost that was brought to the council it became clear that the council would never approve it. Okay? We want to be good to our public works people. We want them to be happy. We want them to go do a great job when they're working in the neighborhoods. But we're also not going to build a Taj Mahal for them. So this building has been through a few design iterations. It's getting more and more reasonable in cost. So that's scheduled. We're hoping, again, it's going to come to the council this year. Scout Lodge. Scout Lodge is across the street now from Scout Park, which kind of seems like it would be better if they were together. Scout Lodge sits in an area that is a transition between the neighborhoods and Litchfield Square. So the concept is to move south to Scout Lodge, and Scout Lodge is in very bad shape. It probably needs significant renovations before we should have our kids in there. We've got support beams that have got braces on them to try to keep the building from falling down. So it's not a good situation. So we looked at moving it, and it's not possible to move it because it's just structurally, the chances of getting it, even moving it just across the street's a problem. So we're going to reconstruct it basically across the street. Correct? That's the last plan. So we're going to save the things inside of it and outside of it that are important to the architecture and important to the history of the building, and we're going to incorporate those things back into a new structure across the street so that we have a better place for the scouts to meet. It will have better restrooms. Just everything about it will be a much better situation for the scouts, and it will allow the scouts to use the park for their various outdoor kind of things. So we look at this as being an important feature for the scouts, and also it allows us now a transition area between the neighborhoods and Litchfield Square, which may involve parking, but if it does involve parking, it will be screened with landscaping so that it'll be like the parking lot on Old Litchfield Road. If you don't know it's there, you won't even know it's there. But the idea is that it will be a good transition between the neighborhoods and Litchfield Square. Financial update. I'm going to encourage you to go to the website if you want to understand this chart. This is a really good chart for you. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time other than to tell you the blue, all the blue, that's what we're spending. The yellow is receipts, either the receipts we've already gotten in if the year's been done, or the receipts that we're budgeting to. So you can see our budgeted receipts for the future, we're not budgeting even as much as what we already got, what we've been getting. So we're very conservative in our budgeting. And this is our excess funds. This is like our bank account. So it keeps growing. That assumes that we haven't spent anything on CIP projects, but we're going to spend something on CIP. And you can see in this dip right here is when we spent all the cash, a lot of cash, on finishing Litchfield Square. So as we spend cash for CIP, we will not see that line keep going up, but we're going to maintain that differential so that we always maintain a healthy cash balance. We have been fortunate enough over the last several years, because of the strategy that we pursued as a council, that we have been earning $1 million a year on interest on our bank account. So you can imagine that, we only have a $10 million operating budget, roughly, is that correct? $10 million. So we've been earning 10% of our operating budget of interest off of our bank account. So we want to continue that. It gives us a lot of safety and a lot of flexibility, and it helps in terms of funding various things. That's going to continue. This is revenues versus our expenditures, and you can see that we have revenues that are going to be in excess of our expenditures. Truck update. Trucks are still a huge problem for us on Camelback. Before I get into trucks, I got to have a drink of water. We have gotten ourselves procedurally in the place where we could attack the state on not allowing us to ban trucks through trucks on Camelback. We could could take that step, and our attorneys are telling us if we're willing to spend the money, which is a very, 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 very significant amount of money, we could defend that and probably win that fight going through the courts. So we're in a good spot with trucks if we want to fight. The problem is after we spend a huge amount of money, we're still left with Camelback Road in a very bad state. The road is terrible. We haven't fixed the road at all. And we're in a spot where if the state legislature decides that they want to stop us, then they can redo their legislation and we can go through the same fight again. We may win again, but again, we're going to spend a huge amount of money. So we looked at how many residents is this impacting? It's a very small number in relationship to all the residents of Litchfield Park. And this number that might be successful is so significant that it was difficult to justify. Particularly if we would take that money and invest it first in Camelback Road. So if we can get Camelback Road slowed down, we can get the traffic calmed, we potentially can make Camelback Road so that it's not an attractive place for through trucks to go. If we can do that, then we can impact the problem positively, and at the same time end up spending our money on something that will be an asset for our community for many, many years. If it doesn't work, then we still have the ability in 5 years or 4 years, once we're done with this whole project, if it becomes an issue that's important enough to enough residents that we want to commit that much of our wealth to fight, then we can look at that again. So right now, I think the path that the council has agreed pretty much by consensus, I think, is that we need to go through the path of let's try to fix Camelback Road. Let's try to calm the traffic, slow it down, and see if we can't make the situation fix itself rather than go into a fight with the legislature. So that's the path I think that we're on as a city at this point. Could that change? It can change anytime the council wants to change it. But I don't see the support today for the council to spend money to get into a fight for this kind of a fight, because if we win, we don't really win. All we do is get ready for the next fight. So that's Camelback Road. We are going to work to try to get either this year or next year within the legislature to try to get a one-time grant from the legislature to do some mitigation efforts along Camelback. So there are things we can do to the houses, for example, by replacing the windows that are in those houses now with windows that are designed to keep noise out. We can eliminate a lot of the noise that comes into the houses with the kind of windows that are in the houses, or possibly with the kind of stucco that's on the house. So there are things that we can do to help mitigate it, and we're going to go to the legislature and see if we can get a one-time grant to implement some of those things. I want to bring it just to your attention, a couple of bills that have an impact on us. One of them is a potentially very serious negative impact that hopefully we hopefully it's not going to come through. It says House Bill HCR 2021. There are several House bills and Senate bills that all kind of do the same thing, and that is eliminate the ability of cities to tax food. For many cities like Litchfield Park, food tax is a significant part of our sales tax revenue. For us, it's about 20% of our local revenue is from the taxation of food. Now, if you're like a city like Phoenix doesn't tax food. But Phoenix has car dealerships, have Home Depots, they have all kinds of building activity. They've got industry that we don't have that generates tremendous sales tax that are not, that their residents benefit from that we don't benefit from here. In fact, most of those smaller jurisdictions throughout the entire state, their budgets will be 20% or more, 30% in some cases, dependent on local food tax. So if the food tax is eliminated, there's a lot of smaller communities that are around us that are going to be tremendously hurt financially. They're not really sure how they're going to survive without dramatic changes in property tax or dramatic changes in some other way of raising revenue. So there have been these efforts, and the Republicans, I think, and to some extent the Democrats, have been very much in favor of eliminating the ability to tax food. The Arizona League of Cities and Towns and the mayors have been very active at lobbying against these changes. And in particular, Mayor Beck from Peoria has spent a lot of time on it and came up with a compromise that it's not the compromise that ended up being what it looks like it's going to happen. It's not quite what Mayor Beck proposed, but it's very close. And that essentially would say that the legislature would freeze local communities' ability to change the sales tax. So we couldn't increase our food tax, or if we didn't have a food tax, we couldn't implement a food tax. But we would be able to keep our food tax. We're hoping that that's what's going to happen with the legislature this year, that they won't come in and do anything with our food tax, because again, it's 20% of the local tax revenue that we generate, so it's very important. The problem with it, though, and it's like that every cloud has not just a silver lining, but a black area too. The legislature can change this every year. So the pattern that we've seen in the legislature when they go after things that are really important to cities is that they may not get it the first year, may not get it the second year, but they just keep coming back and coming back and coming back. An example of that is the other bill I was just going to tell you about, and that is HB 2371 and multiple other bills that appear to be going down the path where they're going to be adopted. And these bills will essentially eliminate a city's ability to do any planning for any buildings in this area. There won't be any more design review boards, there won't be any more zoning, there won't be any more anything. People will pretty much be able to build whatever they want to build, wherever they want to build it. Fortunately, the legislation only applies to cities that have more than 70,000 people. So it won't apply to us. So we're going to still do what we do to protect our neighborhoods. But everybody around us will be impacted by it. And it could lead to tremendous issues with congestion. We don't know what housing density is going to look like. So you think of a traditional family home having a quarter acre, or even a little less than a quarter acre. They're going to be down to, you're going to be down to a few thousand feet for a normal lot. So it has the ability to change the character of where we're living in a region. So it's a bad thing. And I hope it doesn't go through. But this is an example of something that the legislature has come back with this proposal. This has got to be 4 or 5 years. And they're finally at the point where now, I don't know if people get tired of talking about it, but it looks like it's more likely to pass. And that the justification for it is that it's going to lead to affordable housing. I don't think it's going to help affordable housing. That's just my thought. It's going to save a little bit on the square feet of the land that you have to buy to build a house. But the biggest part of the house is the cost of all of the materials and the labor and all the things that go into building the house. So I don't think it's going to help. It's going to help significantly in that way. The final thing I want to end with legislative bills on a good note. We have a group called the West Valley Mavericks that were formed. They were formed actually out of people in Litchfield Park. They've been in existence for about 12 years and raised more than $5 million over the years, $4 million over the 12 years. They're going to raise $500,000 this year at least, and they're giving all that money back to our people in our community. So people like Phoenix Children's Hospital, Make-A-Wish, are some of the bigger foundations, bigger groups that get benefited by the Mavericks. But they also support things like Homeless Youth Connection. They support the Lending Closet. They support, it's like 100 small charities that are all important to the residents who live in our area. So they have been able to push forward, and there have been support from different leaders on the west side to get their own license plate. If this gets passed, which there hasn't been a new license plate issued in a long time. Probably the last time a new one was issued was Fighter Country Partnership. But what it will do is provide a revenue source for the Mavericks. It costs, if you wanted to have a Mavericks license plate, it costs you $25. And of that, I think $17 goes to the Mavericks. So it can be a very significant source of funding, which would help the Mavericks do charitable work in our community. So that's some good news on the legislative front. Citizens Academy, we have had a Citizens Academy in partnership with other cities like Goodyear in the past. This year, for the first year, we actually have a Citizens Academy only with Litchfield Park residents. Mayor Barleycorn was one of the participants. We have 15 or 16 residents who are participating in it. The Academy meets once a week and goes through and gets a good understanding of how municipal government works, how Litchfield Park works, and how they can serve the residents in the future. 24, we only had election on charter in 24. We want to thank you, everyone in here who voted for the charter. We appreciate it. It does give us more flexibility as a city in terms of how we govern ourselves. We're the first charter city created in Arizona since 1982, so it's actually a pretty big deal that we did this. So I want to say thank you for that. There was no election in 25, and the next election will be 26. These are our council members. We're going to give them a moment to make comments to you. But before I do that, I want to recognize, I think the only group that hasn't been recognized in here, we feel like it's like award day, it's like participation trophies for everyone. We missed one group, and that is our staff. I suspect everybody here thinks that I prepared every one of these slides. Right? Okay. Probably not. Okay. Staff put all this together. Staff is the one that implements all of the policies and plans that the council can come up with. So when we look at Litchfield Square, we have to thank staff. When we look at the condition of the medians and the condition of our roads, when we look at Christmas lights, all this stuff, we have to say thank you. So all staff members, please stand up. I'd like to give them a round of applause. I'm not sure how they planned you were going to make your remarks, but I assume I have to bring you this. Bring it without holding it down. Happy birthday.
Hi everyone, my name is Suzanne Allen, and you already know that cake is my Achilles heel, so there you go. I just wanted to share that it's an honor to be here today as your council member and to witness all the exciting progress that's happening in our city. It's been really a real, not drinking from the fire hose, but close to that. I just want to give you a little bit of history about me. I have a background in government finance. I was an accountant for the state of Arizona. I am a CPA, and I was an FBI agent for 10 years. And then what I did for FBI was investigate complex financial crime, and then securities fraud, and later I was the public sector coordinator for the Phoenix field office here. And then I would also like to just add that I have 2 children that my husband and I are raising here in Litchfield Park. We've been in the city limits for 16 years. And I gained firsthand knowledge into our city through my work as the vice chair for the Board of Freeholders. So I saw our chairman over there, and that was a real eye-opening experience into getting to know how the city functions. So that was really important in my decision to run for council. And while working on that, I saw the dedication of the staff here at the City of Litchfield Park, their leadership team, and their dedication to fiscal responsibility, which I appreciate having a background in finance. And that continues to remain one of my top priorities here, ensuring that we have safeguards in place to protect our financial security and our resilience. Another priority of mine was engaging with our city's ongoing developments you can see how much development is happening. And so it was really important for me to get dialed into that right away. And to that end, I will be serving on the committee. I will be a board member on the PW Litchfield Heritage Center. So I'm excited to start working on that committee as well. I don't know if anyone else has that cough that's been going on for 3 weeks, but I have it, so I apologize for that. I'm really excited about these opportunities and these projects, and I recognize the importance of, while this is very exciting, of maintaining accountability. And then, to the point, I wanted to acknowledge and appreciate the staff who support the city, and I support the new Public Works facility. I think that's really important. One of the first things I did upon getting elected was take a tour of all of our city facilities, and I can definitely say that maybe those facilities had been adequate at one point, but they are not anymore, and I think that we definitely need to do better by our staff. And then, and so beyond all of this, I wanted to just share with you that I had a really exciting opportunity to participate in some of our city events. And I don't know if any of you had a chance to participate in the Litchfield Park Fun Run. Well, actually, it was my husband ran the 10K. I did the 1 mile fun run with my son. And it was such a great sense of community. So I don't know if any of you had the opportunity to experience that, but that was really special. It was a small community event. A ton of people were there. I saw a lot of people I knew. And then it was so fun to walk over to that farmer's market. So I don't know if you've had an opportunity to experience the farmer's market. It was very special. And then, and really, I guess I just want to highlight the strong sense of community at that event. And then following that was the Fine Arts Festival. And I heard so many good comments. I was really thrilled. I was there both days, and I got to kind of put my ear to the ground and listen to everyone who was there, and it was just really a well-done event, and I think that our recreation staff really did a fantastic job of hosting this event. The vendors that I talked to were thrilled to be here. They had wanted to come in years past, but they weren't able to, and so it was really exciting to see all of that. And then finally, I just want to say that I appreciate the trust and support and partnership from all of you. I encourage all of you to stay engaged, reach out to me if there's anything I can do. I welcome that because I think together we can ensure that we remain close-knit, resilient, and a thriving community. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, Justin James. This is my 3rd year on council, first elected term. Want to thank Ann and John and Donahue, John Romack. Enjoyed working with you the last 2 years. Thank Suzanne and Andrew for getting elected because I went from being 7th on the totem pole in terms of seniority to 5th, so that was good. Want to thank the mayor for beating President Trump's joint agenda to Congress last week by about 10 minutes. Well done, sir. But no, I'm been here 11 years, raising my kids here. They're 15 or 13. I work in the trucking industry, so a lot of the input we're seeking, myself and Ron Claire both do. We're passing that along, but yeah, I didn't prepare any comments, so I'm going to just be short and sweet and say thank you for the opportunity to serve this community. Cheers.
Thank you. I'm Paul Faith. I've had the honor of being your vice mayor for the last 21 years. I'm the longest on the council right now, the longest tooth. Except for your prior experience, because you left and came back. So put all your years together is more than that. As you can see, though, from the mayor's presentation, we have been massively busy. And it just seems to be exponential. Every time we think we've got over the hump and we're going to be a downhill slide, 5 more things pop up. There is a lot happening. We're all volunteers. We don't get paid for this. We're seeking volunteers always for other positions. So if you want to volunteer in the city, there's got to be a place for you. We're always looking for input. If you have a special project, something needs to be done, something you think we're not doing right, or we could do better, please catch any of us and relay your concerns. Our finances are the best that they've been. They continue to get better and better. It is absolutely astonishing what's happened in my years in the council. We are solvent. We are solidly solvent, if that's a phrase. Everything looks great. It's one of the reasons why we have all these projects going on. Roundabouts, that's been a touch word for some people. The first one we put in was an experiment. When I first started, I live in the Villages. I'm the only one that lives on the other side of Litchfield Road. When we first put it in, I was driving through it. My wife was driving through it. It was kind of scary because nobody knew how to work those things. But as I've driven through it now for all this time, it is a fantastic thing. If I got to come out of the Villages and turn north, I can do it. And it's safe. Some of the statistics seem to say that if there are accidents, they're very, very minor, and there's seldom a major accident at a roundabout. So it's encouraged me to look favorably at some more of them. We've been trying to slow traffic down on Litchfield Road, on Camelback, for safety, for noise. The roundabout has helped, as the mayor mentioned. It has also turned into a drunk magnet. We've had the staff out there a few times putting those rocks back in those baskets that are in the middle of that roundabout. But we need more calming things on Litchfield Road. We've lowered speed limits. We've tried to maintain what I hear from the citizens is the most important to all of you, and that is maintaining our small town atmosphere, and that's near and dear to my heart. My kids live here, my grandkids all live here. My son Brian is sitting there, he's on Parks and Rec. My oldest son, Michael, my law partner, he's the chairman of P&Z. He's on spring break with his kids right now, so he's not here. My retired law partner is on P&Z and design review. This is our town, and we want to keep it the way it is, the way that you want. And with all this growth that's happened around us, trying to keep that small town atmosphere, it's been massively difficult. We're doing the best we can, and with the new growth things that we've got going on, I think we're still going to maintain that. The park that we're building, the new Litchfield Square, I think it fits right in. We probably have more square foot of parks per capita than any other city in the state, and I'm pretty proud of that. So if you have any comments, any questions, any problems, we're all open, we're all available. Please relay them. Come to a council meeting. We have comments from the public section. We're happy to listen. Thank you.
Okay, I bet you're going to be happy to hear this, but we're almost finished. The last thing on our agenda is public comments, and I don't know if we have any comment cards, no comment cards. Do you have anybody who would like to make a comment, even though you didn't take time to fill out a comment card? Come on up to the mic and...
I didn't hear any mention.
Yeah, it would be helpful so we can document this because we have minutes for this stuff.
Okay,
Open meeting list, just name and address would be helpful.
David McKenna. What's the address?
14200 Cafe.
Did you say that again?
It's 14200 Village Parkway.
I didn't hear any mention about bike lanes. Is it assumed that there are going to be bike lanes on all the new roads?
That's part of the process of designing them, and I think in some of the photos or some of the slides, there are bike lanes shown. Whether they're adequate, I don't know, but I know that's something that's taken into account when we design the road.
Thank you.
Hi,
Diana Jones. Technically, I live in Avondale, but only by a couple 100 feet. I live off of El Mirage between Indian School and Camelback. We have a nice left turn arrow on Indian School, and there's a nice left turn arrow up on Glendale. We need one on Camelback. There's times I've had to sit through that traffic change time 3 times before I can make a left turn to get over to the Bash's grocery store.
What we'll do is forward your comment to the county, and the reason is we don't control that intersection of El Mirage and Camelback. That's a county light, and that's something that we can't do anything about it.
Yeah, because I keep getting different stories about who owns that intersection, because I know the Burger King is in Litchfield. So it's right at that intersection.
It's one of the most insane things about the state, and sometimes I'll sit down and not explain all of it to you, strip annexation, whatever, but we don't control that light. But Debbie Lesko's office does, and I'll make sure the city manager refers your comments to her office so that she can take a look at it. Anybody else?
I'm Carter Wilson. I generally attend every city council meeting, and I just want to thank the city council for all the hours that they put in on our behalf. Thank you.
My name is Tom Atkins. I live in Litchfield Greens. We support the Heritage Foundation every year. We have a home walkthrough every year. Last year I went to the ACC meeting about Liberty Water, and it was discovered that we have 4,000 fire hydrants in the city of Litchfield, and Liberty Water could not tell us when they were tested. They don't have a schedule, at least they didn't at that time, so I wanted an update on that, when and if they're actually testing our fire hydrants, because we don't want to have a Los Angeles experience here. And the other issue is, and I really appreciate your update, Mayor and the council, on Camelback Road. The wall along Litchfield Greens is a standard 8-foot wall. I know Old Litchfield has theirs raised at 10 feet, and I guess Fry's paid for that. And we're upgrading the wall with the park, but the folks in Litchfield Greens aren't getting any relief. And it might be years, is what I'm hearing, before we get any sound abatement or pollutant abatement coming from Camelback Road and the noises. That section of road is a drag strip in the morning. I know, I live very near to it. And so I would ask the council to prioritize that piece of Camelback Road in your projects list. And I would invite any member of the council to come to one of our HOA meetings. We don't feel like we get a lot of representation necessarily with this particular issue, so if you'd like to come and explain to the homeowners what your mitigation strategy is and what the timeline is, we'd really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. I believe you'll find out if you go to your HOA that the wall actually all the way around the greens is owned by the HOA. So it's not a city wall. So that's our first problem. And I'll ask the city manager to give you just a quick short update on the fire hydrants, because we actually have been working on that and trying to make sure that all the fire hydrants work.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. Yes, sir. Regarding your hydrant question, so that was something I would like to say thank you. I don't know where you went to there. There you are. You were at those ACC meetings with me. Thank you for going down there. We appreciate it. It always helps to have citizens come out. We have an issue like that. The question you was asking was about the fire hydrants. So fire hydrants are complicated in Litchfield Park because normally in most cities, the city has its own utilities. We do not. In most cities, the city has its own utilities and the fire department tests them. However, those are not our hydrants. So it gets hard to test them. I got into this issue some years ago with Liberty that I want to see the hydrant testing. And he's right. They weren't being tested. So that was part of the outcome with ACC, is that the city can test those hydrants when we wish. We do them at our expense. We have someone on contract that we use to test those hydrants. We do coordinate that with Liberty, also with Goodyear Fire, and we mix up which hydrants we test. We test them according to various locations. We haven't tested them lately because water pressure has been up. I promise you we will test them when pressure stops dropping down. If it starts rolling around summertime and the water pressure starts dropping, it did at my house as it did at yours, I remember from previous conversations, then we will test them and see. I can tell you from my experience at my house, I live in the neighborhood north of Fry's. I saw 26 pounds at my house. 26 pounds is very low. One thing the city did look at was asking the state to change the policy. Most people don't understand that. The state policy, they're only required to provide 20 pounds. We would love to see the state change that law to 40 pounds. That being said, if you require that, your cities that have utilities around the state are going to have to spend a lot more money in their infrastructure to get 40 pounds. So you can imagine the people that wouldn't want to spend the money to do that, right? That's something we would like to see. As I told Liberty myself, raise the water rates. We'll pay more. Anyway, but we will test those. Mayor's telling me I'm talking too long, and I'm glad to talk with you further. And I'm glad to come and speak with HOA. Sorry, sir.
Sorry. I knew it was a risk when I gave you the mic. Any more questions? Oh, I see former council, that's always a problem.
No, I'll keep it short. I was on design review for a long time and served on the council a long time, but I'm having a real problem with this storage unit that's going in next to our post office. What's going to happen there and all along there? I would like to know if there's any way that we could cooperate or get some input from the city of Avondale. Our post office, by the way, is in the city of Avondale, and so the storage unit is going to be multi-story because you can see they're putting up the elevator shafts now, and I'm really concerned about how that multi-story building is going to look on that corner and what that's going to generate then further to the west. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. As you know, we have little influence over another city's decisions on these kind of things. But I spoke to some of the city officials, and I think our staff coordinated with some of them. The height of that building is going to be about the same height as the height of the building across the street. You take into account the actual, I don't know what you call it, facades that are on the front, the parapet. So the buildings will look consistent when you look at them from the street.
Hi, Mayor. Mayor Stuckey. I'm here representing Paul Stuckey, and he'd be delighted if you would put calming devices on Old Litchfield Road. Yeah.
We'll make sure that the traffic policeman spends time on Old Litchfield Road also. Any other comments or questions? If not, thank you for coming. We appreciate you coming out and listening to what's going on in your city, particularly on not the nicest night of the year. And would also want to invite you to have some cake and help Suzanne celebrate her birthday.